All right, so we come back with the educational program, and we've been delayed for a while. First of all, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, it's hard to do it as an individual when we have a lot of social life, personal life within maintenance, a lot of family issue. But yeah, we're doing good now, and gotta jump into the knowledge that we promise and we commit and we're gonna provide to the community. So today we follow up with the organizational development topics. And of course, hopefully, soon I will catch up with uh, the next external development module. Could be sociology. Uh, and we keep up with the 2 week program. Today, we're talking one of the most uh, emerging topics and ability that not much people talk about. Is we in the field of organizational development study, we know about these terms, but we don't spend much time into it because it's kind of complex. Uh, and I can explain it pretty briefly. Is the idea of organizational design, what we try to do today. The problem of the organizational design and how it's different with the development is the term design. When we talk about design, it's mean it's have the mix of art in that. It have the mix of human touch, creativity, of as I say in here, from 0 to 1, from nothing to something, right? From the idea to material, from the idea into action, from no organization into one organization or multiple organization. In my opinion, is the ability of creation. You basically doing the work of creator, right? The creator. You create the new reality based on the ideology. Just think about it. It has happened in every kind of the field. We start up, create a new company, right? We build new school in a rural area, which is never have any school up there, right? We create the new regime. We create a new form of multilateral collaboration from international affairs. We make a system that individual can partnership and produce to the shared goal, which is the whole idea of organization. So who make that organizational structure? Who gonna create that framework that thousands to millions individual with a different interest and different goal, different skill set can come in and contribute their own limited ability into the unlimited potential of capacity, right? Who create the terms of community? Who create the society, right? How structure, how it's grow, right? How it manifests the cooperation ability of mankind, right? So that is how much important of this question of organizational design. We design something. We design a whole new organization that fit the circumstance. That's exactly the thing we try to do today. From zero, from nothing, from emptiness into one, to something, into reality, into structure, into the name, into the game, right? And into the way we collaborate and produce that whole idea of organizational design. So we can go on uh, some kind of scientific definition of that, which is I gotta say it's the most updated one. Some based on couple scientific article I'm working on throughout other information of the history, and we understand it, where this thing located, why we don't talk much about that, and why I cannot find the online course as usual. I take a look at some of that in Coursera, and the quality and the topics to cover is not the thing I think is close to the literature of organizational design right now. So I basically can say we have no online course and certificate of this. And one friend of mine say, well, yeah, but we create our own course. I say, yeah. Yeah, why not? We could create a whole new organization. Why not? We just create a new course about that. But of course, today I will not uh, design my own online course and explain it the whole thing to you guys. But just let you know that Coursera topics so far, some of them, and take a look at that. It's not covered the thing we covered today, and the thing we asked the scientists to cover in the organizational design. And of course, add the course so far, and look in the normal MOOCs platform like edX and other uh, platforms so far. I don't have any course that close to the knowledge that I think we should understand. So some of that I want to explain it as an idea of how the future in the future we structure it and release the course. It's gonna be look like that. And of course, if we want to use this for formal training for our own personnel in the organization we work on, the only way we can do is to self study and interview. That is something we can do now so far. All right, let's jump into it. It kind of contains this 4 or 5 slide of all the tracking information I have so far, and we can go on it. Okay, so we're talking about the definition. I'll take a look at the definition of the organization design, but as I say, I only look on the one that fit the literature and the structure of human knowledge of this field, which is science. The first one is their definition I pulled out from the article, The Science of Organizational Design, fit between structure and coordination, from the two authors, Dr. Burton and Obel. It's released 2018 in Springer Link, and it's uh, open source. So basically, or open access. So basically, you can jump into that link and download and read the whole thing. I'm not read the whole thing today, but I think it's a pretty good study. And they did have the name of Journal of Organizational Design, which is pretty updated knowledge about this. But the current topic so far is not really go to the general idea. And as we're looking for a topic, so I don't put it out the whole thing. But pretty quality article right here. It's a real scientific article. The link is on this picture. So whoever in the organization have the ability to access to this slide, just click on it. You can jump into that article. Not too long, but pretty short article. But it's good to know. Okay, so the idea I put it out in there is, according to Simon, 1996, of course, is the way of citation. An organization artifact that must be created in concept before it is created in reality. So this is first sentence. It's proof of the idea and the hypothesis we try to do in organizational design, which is different with organizational development. So you gotta have something to develop into something else or a better version of its own organization. It's a development. No, yeah, as I say, social science we only have the foundation of language and logic as the foundation of philosophy. So organizational design gotta be different with organizational development. That's why I have a separate study about that. The idea of design, just like the fashion design, you scratch the dress and the model from the blank space, right? From the blank paper, and you scratch out the idea, the frame, the structure, and you put a color, put a detail on that. So organizational design, technically learning from that idea. It's based on the idea in your mind, right? Based on the concept, right? And use that concept and idea in the mind and create it to the reality. That whole idea. That's why from zero, from nothing, when we come to something, we like to use organizational design, then the development. It is faster, right? It's from zero to something. You need an organizational creation first, and then develop it first, and then develop it, and then adjust it, and then transform it, right? And then adapt it. How about this with the word design, right? To emphasize the creation part of the action. So that is the idea. We got to agree that the organization begin with the mind and go to the reality. That is the difference. That's why I put it in here. Four major topic of philosophy. And it also proves the idea of why I try to talking about external development topics in this educational course about a philosophy, because it all begin from philosophy, from the idea of the mind into the reality and the way we perceive the reality, right? That's why we have metaphysics, right? The idea of what create the reality, metaphysics. When we talk about creation of reality, ontology, the purpose of creating, the purpose of thing, the purpose to create reality. Organization gotta be come from the idea to reality to serve for the purpose of something. So we need a goal, we need a mission, we need a vision, whatever it is, right? It is ontology. Ontology is much bigger than that, but in the framework of organizational development, we just understand the concept of reality. You get this organization needs to exist for purpose of something. That ontology. So ontology is a small branch of metaphysics. That's why they go together. Of course, we have epistemology. We talk about the idea, right? How to construct the idea and how people understand the idea. And we talk about value theory. It's about basically about the ethics, because this organization is a social science, is a human, right? What's the value of that idea? When we create the idea, we think about the value first. We think about ethics first, think about human insight. And when we construct reality, we add it in. So in my approach of organizational design, from the concept to the reality, I base on this four philosophy view of that to construct the concept before create it into reality. That's the way I think because we go through the external development. Take a look at that again, and you will understand this sentence is a powerful sentence. Organization is an artifact. What's an artifact? Is a thing that man create. Organization it represents the creation power of mankind, right? From idea of the mind, which is the most powerful tools mankind have. We don't have the muscle as a chimpanzee, but we have a powerful mind that a millions chimpanzee can combine, right? We create something from nothing. That's a mankind power, right? Don't forget that. And we can go deeper, and that's the idea in a different topic of external development. But if you not agree that hypothesis, that assumption that mankind create something from nothing, create the reality of the mind, you will never understand the structure of organizational design. So because we provide it, so we just take that assumption and moving forward. And who is not agree with that, just can don't have to listen by the rest of this video. So we go through with this, and then Rome 2003. Also have a page in here that way is citation talking about the building upon the idea of Simon argue that the idea of a design involve inquiry into the system that do not yet exist, either complete new system or a new state of existing system. So this idea is back up together, right? This is organization. We agree that organization is something created from the idea, concept to reality. So the idea of design got to be involved in the system of idea, which is not existent yet, and make it into reality, which is could be two things: completely new system or the new state of existing system, right? If we copy exactly the same thing, it's the way like franchise, whatever it is in the business, right? But it's not the thing we're doing now. We create something new, or we're making new state of the old system, right? The old system, we change it. It's just like the metaphysical questions in the ancient Greek philosophy. The battleship, which is being changed on the frame of the structure of the tools in, inside it and outside it, change a new color, put a new stuff on that. Is it still the old battleship or is it the new one, right? How we explain the existence. So what is the definition of the battleship, right? Same with the building, right? The old building, which is changing everything inside and outside. Is it still the old building, or is it now coming to the new building? What's the old? What's the new, right? So everything changed inside. Is it still the same building, same thing, or is it a completely new thing? That is how we fighting, wrestling the idea of existence. But yeah, we cover it in the philosophy. But based on the two assumption from idea to reality, organizational design can be described of how an organization should be structured in order to function effectively and efficiently. Organization design is a systematic approach aligning structural process, leadership, cultural, people, practice, and metrics to enable the organization achieve the mission. Yep, basically that is. But if we talk about just about this defined definition, we just see it, organization as a whole is the way how the organization should be structured to meet the contingent, right, the circumstance. This is how we evaluate it function effectively and efficiency, right? Which is play with every card you have so far of the modern theory. It could be structural, which is we go through. Well, that's why the first course of organizational development it always is a structure. Because organization without structure is not organization. It's a group of chaotic person, right? So structure is important, but it's not everything. It's all about processes. It's about how the workflow, the task flow, how it function, right? How the machine run, leadership, how get people in the machine functioning together to the same goal, the leadership, cultural, how we will develop, how we run the organization, how we develop it, how we getting new people, how we get rid of people, right? How we build up the thing that lasts hundreds of years, right? That are cultural. We talk about people, the people itself, psychology of people in the organization, how they do it, how they develop it, how they deal with stress, how we deal with motivation, practice, right? How people behave, of course, and metric to evaluation to achieve a mission and vision. So that is the organizational design definition that I agree, and I think is a well understood definition of organizational design. It's the way we design, sorry, to definite the thing, define the thing with the same terms, but it's the way we align when we structures and we draw and we fix organization into a new phase, a new existence, which is effective. That's it. But remember, organization could change, right? Could remake because organization just begin with the idea. That is the first agreement. Because if you not agree that the organization can change, can redesign, we cannot develop it. We cannot design it because you don't agree that that organization can change, structure can change, policy can change, value can change, mission can change, everything can change, right? But it's just about how we change it. And it's about and who should change it and how people agree about that change. So we go to the second structure, which is the key idea of here. You want to build a course. We got to based on this, basically. Okay, let me try to make this. Okay, so how can we create information and knowledge from something that does not exist, right? Which how we pull out the idea and concept into reality. It's a general framework of from ideas to reality, but I put it on several topics in here, which is covered in this practice of organizational design. If we change the topic into entrepreneurship, we change the topic into uh, invention, creation. It's the same thing because it's all based on first observation, how we perceiving things, we're seeing the nature, the circumstance, the people, the idea, the concept, the world, right, the society, the community, the future, the history. We observe it, which is as we normally do. Plus, the big plus, knowledge-based experimentation. Experimentation. That's it. What does that mean? It means we need to test. Experimentation basically is a test, but a scientific test with a clear methods, clear way to evaluate, clear way to structure, clear way to framework limitation, right? And clear way of development. That's why I call it knowledge base. It's not a random test. Well, if someone who really anti-intellectual can put it here, observation and test, or seeing things and testing things. But I'm not that type of person. I would believe that we need a knowledge-based experimentation. Experimentation with now knowledge is just doing the random thing and wishfully is going to happen with a miracle result, which is not the way we do in organizational design. And experimentation is only work in science, right? But it doesn't mean that this thing need to be based on the knowledge of science. It's based on knowledge, right? Scientific knowledge is a part of knowledge. It not represent everything of knowledge. When talk about that about in the topic as the epistemology, right? In the philosophy of knowledge. But basically, knowledge based doesn't mean it's gotta be based on scientific knowledge. Just to make a discrimination. So, observation, right? Just seeing. We're testing. We come out to the sample, which is prototype, right? And we adjust with the reality. And we come into the moment of creation, right? So, and based on in limitation is a framework and boundary of this organizational design. When I talk about observation, and if I want to teach about this course, the formal college course about organizational design, I will get a breakthrough in this first step, observation, which is observation. First, to observe the nature. Here, the nature is not about the wood, forest, the weather, the climate. The nature is about the thing around us, which still exists. The nature of the market. What's the nature of the market? You see the invisible hand, right? The demand and supply. We see the policy. We see the measures, all the shareholder in the market, the provider, the consumer, the regulator, right? And also other observer, right? The one who's just doing nothing and watching, right? The underrepresentative, the dominant, right? The key player. So whatever. That's the whole idea of nature. For example, when we talk about case study, after that, this later, but we're talking about the, for example, the organization we create now, which is beginning of this course, the CEP Community Educational Program, Greenify Vietnam. Before I do it with my friend, the founder, we observe, right, observe the nature of Vietnam. Why we need to create this organization in Vietnam, right? Why not in the United States? And is it possible to do it or not, right? We talked about possibility, but it's all based on the nature. Yeah, so the nature is my friend want to do the sustainability development in Vietnam. We is gathering group of individuals that interested in sustainability development. I say, okay, it's doable because I observe the nature in the world. When I say the world, it's not only about United States, 501(c)(3, also in the European Union, right? In the leading country like Denmark, Sweden, Netherlands, right? Germany, observe how it approach in other side of the world, like how it come to Africa, how to Southern America to change, to helping community in there adapt with the climate change and how the United Nations deliver their mission. And I observe a couple organizations come to Vietnam already, doing great things in Japan, in Taiwan, in Australia. So first observe that it's doable worldwide, is a global trending practice. And I observed several structures so far and resorts of the United States where 501(c)(3, right? charitable organization, observe different organizations in other country, observe about the legal framework in Vietnam. That's why we have the course really early of the into Vietnam non-profit organization climate. I don't think I clearly remember the title, but it's just about we observe of how we create a charitable community non-profit action in Vietnam based on Vietnam current legal framework, right? And we see that it's doable. That's why we observe nature and we see people, right? We have a group of 10, 20, sometimes it's down to five, and then now you expand to 10 or 20 again because it's the nature. We expand the observation and practice. So we see the bigger picture. So that is a key nature of observation, when I say. Secondly, we talk about possibility, right? Possibility of observation is different with feasibility in the experimentation. But feasibility is a study of doable things based on, right? SWOT. Well, we used to run feasibility study as an expectation. One of the friend of and one of the supporter who have experience working in financial worlds, World Bank, whatever it is. But this is the well-constructed study. Possibility is not that well-constructed study. We just start in with observation, right? We just seeing, we just have a sense of thinking, yeah, possible. Is it doable? Is it possible? So whenever whoever come to me and asking a question, well, I want to do this, I want to do that, I will answer it. Yeah, it's doable. I just, yeah, possible. Yeah, I think it's possible. It's possible. So it gotta be observed with the nature and I calculate a little bit in my mind before I answer the question is it can do it or not. It's a possibility. Why? Because it's just based on observation, based on sense, based on what Daniel Kahneman said that the system one, right? The intuitive way of thinking. And we think it's not possibility. It is something we are careful, right? Without now it goes some sort of calculation and evaluation and study about that. But at least we need to see the possibility first. But this thing is kind of vague. That's why I put it color very light. Because the way we do in organizational design is create something from nothing into reality. So it's might be never have any symbol before, right? Completely new system. So how you know it's possibility or not? If it never appeared before, how do you know it, right? So we based on this of how we know it because it's a knowledge, right? And the second based on our belief, right? Which is we don't observe, we don't perceive it by regular five sense. We just fight for it. We just commit to make it possible, right? And then we have some evaluation. Yeah, I put on this observation because evaluation is something we use just judgment, but as well constructed judgment. I think we need to know this first before we come into experiment. But this thing is just design. Evaluation, if we go deep enough, we have science structure of that. Of how we evaluate it. We run it quantitatively or qualitatively, of course, and mixed method of that. But in the observation process, we don't need to be that much of detail, except you are the people like me. But at least we need to have this idea evaluating the nature so far. All right, we want to create the organization, right? We see the nature of the topic that it's possible to do an organization. Now we evaluate of yeah, so we create something from nothing, what we need. How hard it's gonna be, how stressful it's gonna be, right? How long it's gonna take, right? And how we know it's success or not, the question of evaluation. And the last thing, literature. Sorry, I put the word literature in here. We talk about science. We don't talk about general idea. The literature in science is we have well-based knowledge. Is a prepare for this step. Without literature, we cannot prove in the knowledge by experimentation. We don't have this thing ready. We never have this thing well constructed. That's it. But we can talk about this study about that. people can change into a brief study about this. Like if you want to be designer, you gotta have something patterns in your mind first, and then you draw it, right? You want to create a dress, a nice dress to go to a prom. You need to have some sort of information and knowledge about how the dress should be structured, right? And how it showing the style, the design, and how we mix and match the color and detail. Where all that thing come from? It's come from the literature, the knowledge before the creation, the comprehensive knowledge of mankind that we observe throughout our lifetime is the literature. That's why people can base on science, which is fine. Can based on experience, which is fine, right? People can based on mysticism from nowhere, from a dream, right? I don't know, but we always based on the pattern of something to create a concept, and then now we go to experimentation, and some of this I already answered. First, we based on the theory, organizational theory. I put six up here, but we already talked about it. There's six theory of that. I think six major theory, a couple more small theory, but six major theory we cover in the last in several organizational development studies ago. It's the base. That's why I always teach it first. Second, organizational structure. They have 9 different structure. Could be 10 plus in the future. But yeah, it depends on the complex system module we're trying to use. We selected which one is work for which process. And we cover this is based on this proving of knowledge base, right? And then we do design, right? Experimentation design. This thing we design, which is we already do some of them. We just not realize. We design an organization. We design a team. We design an action team. We design a focus group. We design uh, advisory board. We design a position, right? Head of operation, head of marketing, whatever tool is it. We design it for experimentation. It's not come to reality yet. It's just a test in the lab. And talk about the lab, it with us social scientists, the society is a big lab, is a big laboratory for us. We test our idea and theories and module by the framework of society. We throw out the tests, right? Like what we do now. And we do simulation. Now we test in each function of that operation, marketing, finance, legal base. We create a simulation, which is now we combine all piece into one piece, one big things. We run it together, right? Now the machine have everything it need to run, but we still do it in the limited framework. That's why I call it simulation. And of course, we do feasibility study. Feasibility study is we run the last thing filter we run before we create a prototype. Simulation and prototype are different. Simulation is run thing in a simulated uh, context, which is not reality. Sorry, we're social scientists. We run into reality somehow, but this simulation sometimes we just run into paper, run into 20, 30 page of writing, run into the mind, right, and test it. To keep testing, design a simulation, and run that simulation in the mind. Keep test it until this limited mind cannot test it anymore, and it passed all the tests that limited mind can create for that simulation. And then we run the feasibility study into before it put the simulation into reality. That's the whole idea of that. So that's why we need experimentation, because we rather test it 1,000 times in our mind and in our paper, our theory, to make sure if it's well constructed. Then just create something and throw it idea into action. We lost this part. We don't based on this thing. We don't based on theory. We jump head into action and create a chaotic, right? We're wasting our resource. We're losing our mind. losing the trust of others. That's the hard part of social science. Like we're testing in people. People change. People have a different mindset. People have different ideas. People just change, right? We are stranger in our own world, in our own mind. So be careful with that. Make sure do simulation. And feasibility study, of course, we did run it. And we'd say it doable, right? Before we do it. But this is a five topic I think on the online course talking about the organizational design should cover, which is why a lot of that online course now in the Coursera and edX, I'm not recommend because it's not based on this. You basically just learning some general idea and theory and structure, which is not breaking down step by step to get into the reality, which is it's not good. Theories, you can buy the book, or you can download the book online, 500 page, or just subscribe that journal of organizational design. You can learn all the updated knowledge. You don't need to learn that course. But if I break it down into structure, it gotta be look like this. So after you understand these 9 topics, right, small topics right here, and these 2 ideas, with a combination, you create a prototype. Now is a simulation running into reality is a prototype. Run a small location, small area with own function and see how it's go. And we do some adjustment. And we got to adjust with reality. And after adjustment, it come into reality. And boom, we just create something from nothing, right? This thing is all of this can based on your mind until this is it come into reality. And this the moment of creating the new reality. That's it. Make sure you master this structure and guideline. Of course, now the theory is different. We can adding 10 more different bubble up here in observation. I can spend a couple more days just talk about the observation from the observational study into the observational step and guideline, whatever it is. And experimentation design, we've been talking about that a lot in the scientific research skill. Running simulation, we talk about that. Feasibility study, a couple modules to run about that too. But in general, it's a way of how we do and how I do with our organization so far and startup and whatever I create. That's why people come with me with idea and I make it into reality. That's it. Okay, we talk about this. Second journal, I think it's a pretty good one too. They call Organization Design, Current Insight, Future Research Direction from Joseph Shango. Right, we have the DOI up here from the Journal of Management in Sager Journal. Pretty good one too. This thing is most updated and from last month, September 2024. A pretty good idea. I used 2 general knowledge of that, which is the literature and the 4 major approach. We'll talk about this later. So why we need to know about literature? Now we see the idea of literature we see in the module, right? If you don't understand literature, basically, you just lost in the ocean of knowledge. And when you know about literature, we know that the strength and the weaknesses of the way of module. That's a literature now. The book, the beginning organizational development, it also integrated the beginning of this idea. It started from bureaucracies as a primary form, role, and hierarchy and authority and rules, which is we used to talk about Weber, all right? 1922, we talk about Taylor, 1911. So it's a 1920 study, which is, if you still remember, for a couple of years ago, I'm talking about the huge table of how the leadership study, management study, and organizational development study different. It's begin with management study, with industrialization, and during the time they distinguish that from management into leadership. Why? Because they realize that we cannot manage human as a machine. Human is so different. So how are you leading and managing human? We create a new term, is leadership. We study on that and study way back about the history of mankind. And we realize that, in politics, in evolution, in revolution, in change. We talk about politics more, we talk about leadership more than management. Management is more like a term of corporate structure and industrialization, which is majority is economics, but leadership is more like it's a bigger topics. We cover politics, we cover uh, ideology, we cover religion and idealistic, and we cover other motivation and other theory too. And then the 1910s, we break it to the side is organization, because now we talk about bureaucracy, talk about a system, right? We want the group of study want to understand, scientists want to understand details about this organization and structure, right? And authority and rules and roles and forms. So they separate in another part they call organizational development. We begin with this, right? A lot of sociologists and psychologists. And after they talk about bureaucracy, of course, this time bureaucracy is not that bad reputation like what we understand now. It's just about the form and structure and layer. And then, few decades later, we talk about structure, which is two things, right? General idea at that time is internal structure, which is the decision-making process. How we make a decision, top down, surround, right? Through a different network, and how we evaluate the external environment. Now we think about something outside the structure, outside the organization. Yeah, well, we pretty know what we're doing in the internal structure, and it's have huge change when the external envelope environment change, right? How we deal with that? Yeah, we just need to understand inside and outside, inner worlds and outer worlds, and we combine it. That's a whole concept at this time. Yeah, so next 10 years, 20 years, we now the organizational development have pretty well theory, which is we cover in the theories organization. It's a contingency theory, is the time of that. And we talk about information process, which is organization structure as the way we information, right? Which is you have a start here with a study of Galbraith, 1970. Even yeah, his dissertation we study was something else, but after he have his doctorate, he start study about the organization design idea. That's why a lot of literature now agree that Galbraith, one of the first scholar mentioned about organizational design, opened this door of that study. And after him, of course, it go in not really major things, and it just become an open system that everybody adding more sociology, psychology, applied study, philosophy, political study, whatever it is, into the system. Now it become open system. So to agree, to appreciate the, yeah, some people call it a founding father. I'm not really into it, but as the first well-structured study of the organizational design, we take a look of the star module of Galbraith, which is a key study in well-known Earth. Here's the star module, and why I call star module is it look like a star, right? But easy to people to understand. It's just the way we balance five components of design organization. It begins with strategy, right? That's why we need strategy. The rule strategy is create making direction where we're gonna go, right? And then we need people. People is the one who run that machine. People that are based on what? Skill set and mindset, right? Which is simple way of looking on people, right? How about psychology? How about mentality? How about behavior, motivation, and motivation they put out here. But during this time, 1970, they don't really into it. Reward as a motivation, but motivation is not always reward. With the development of psychology now, you know that sometimes the fear is motivation. Reward and punishment in not really the way to motivate, only way to motivate people anymore. Right? The fear, the urgency, the pain, also the way to motivate people. Right? Processes is the way we put in here the information, which is and more than that, but we can put it out here, agree here like this, as a module in 1970. It's been, yeah, 15 years now. The science go too far with this. And structural, which is the way we construct a power, which is, yeah, not only a power, we need more than that, but roles and principle, but we know the idea, right? Understand it. So this five component of this star, I don't think they think which one's important than other, but we need to balance this when we create, when we design organization. We design what is strategy, who gonna do what, how we reward people, how the process of the thing work, and how we structure to balance the power. That is star module. And this is a structural, new way to explain it. The extend model explain this star module that study elaborate later, right? And three components here. First, different strategy is a different organization. So strategy is someone define the way we construct the organization. And of course, different ideas. A strategy is a representative idea, different concept, created different reality. I agree with this. Organization is more than a structure. Yeah, exactly. That's why organizational development, we learn about structure, but it's not, doesn't mean it's everything. It's one part of the game. And alignment is effectiveness. Alignment and adjustment are the same thing, which is, I agree with this too. This criteria, yeah, he pulled it out, but I think it's still in. Because when he realized that, yeah, strategy, I think this thing can change into the concept and strategy is still here. But yeah, depends. Different scientists have different way to approach the knowledge, the idea. It depend on how deep they understand about philosophy of that field. Yeah, people reward process structure is the same. It get into behaviors. Behavior can lead into performance and culture, which is Edgar Schein will not agree with this part, right? The theorists in performance theory will not agree with this part, and the psychologists will not agree with this part because this part's supposed to be up here. But it's okay. That's the way we adding more three component behavior, performance, and culture into the organizational design. But the way it's related and construct, yeah, it's different based on different scientists. But I still appreciate that. It's a good basic module that we should think about as the beginning of organizational design theory. Okay, this thing one of the I think the last idea I'm talking is the four major approach, of course, based on the study in Sager journal. So we have this four major way of approaching organizational design now: configuration, control, generalization, or coordination. And we take a look at that into three categories: of view of organization, how the assumption of organization. Second, how that organization design deal with a problem, right? The problem solving approach. And third, it's all about mainstream study, which is if we searching with this keyword study, we'll see that is a way the approach. And I think it's a pretty good uh, table showing uh, the way we approach organizational design. First, configuration. With this approach, we think that organization just a set of design features or contingency, which is we design thing to adapt to deal with a problem, right? The configuration of that, right? And the key problem is how to create a configuration of design feature that has internal fit and external fit. So we just figure out the organization that fit the need inside the group and outside the environment. That's why I call contingency. And the mainstream study is a fit research. How we call an organization is fit into the context. Activity system. How this system of activity that meet up the internal need of the participants or activists in external environment that activity exists. Modularity, the same thing, the module. And a reorganization. Why we need to reorganize? Because it's not fit anymore. The configuration of that is not fit with contingency anymore. So it's a little bit passive, but it's the most practical. Yeah, thing doesn't work right, so we need to fix it. That's it. Second way to approach control. When the control approach talking, we see that organization is a collection of individuals, each of their own preference, skill, and goal, which is pretty close with a modern theory of organization, right? We need to think about human. Organization is a group of humans, and we have different way of thinking, skill, and approach. So how we deal with problem is how organization design choice, mitigate costs associated with delegate decision making, and direct disparate organizational member toward achieve collective organizational goal. Because it's trading, right? Trading, right? The cost of doing this dignity, right? How it associate the decision making into organizational member, right? Each member got to pay the cost. The organization got to pay the cost to compromise together that make decision making into action. It's realize that we have our own self-interest. So how we deal with the self-interest to work with organizational interest. In the mainstream study, the control system, oversight, incentives, right, which is reward. Yeah, we're not really what's okay, detail about this. Basically, the name we talk about itself. Channelization. Now we agree that organization is an entity that direct the attention and channelize the behavior of organizational member to intermediate objective, right? Organization have multiple channel. We just use that channels to deliver the behavior, like HR. Why the organization needs HR? Because HR is a channel that member in the organization can protect their human right, right, and protect their solvency and the independence and value, self-interest among the organizational interest, which is some of that compromise with their self-interest. That's why we need marketing and other part of divisional, because there are different channels, right? There no one can answer everything. You want to ask me about marketing? Go ask to the director of marketing. He's the one who hold the channel, not me. All right, so how we deal with the problem is how organization design choice establishes the context that shapes decision premise of decision making and action at lower level hierarchy. So that's why this generalization based on the hierarchy, right? Hierarchy structure is how we make decision on top and channelize down. That's why they call hierarchy. And the mainstream study attention and feedback, errors and bias, and representation. Yeah, of course, in mobile human, right? Attention, how people look at attention and feedback. You need to give me the feedback so I understand the way I delivering the decision making channel into you. Errors, how we make the decision in error, and how the bias impacted our decision. And representation, do that decision making represent the majority goal of the organization. So we see the keyword in here, the hierarchy, right? And decision making, right? And how that we channelize information. It's a lot of informational theories based on channelization. And for informational power is a key player in channelization too. And yeah, so that's why we did different way of approaching the organizational design because some people don't like hierarchy. I don't like hierarchy. That's why. That's why I'm not normally using this approach. But what if we working in the system that have hierarchy, like politics, government definitely have hierarchy, no matter how it say democratic it is. There's only one president, right? There's only, and we have the top and the down of that hierarchy. Decision making, there's limited group of people can make decision. No, we don't make decision as a group of thousand or million people combined. Limited people make decision, and the people downward the hierarchy is just only taking action. And they gotta understand decision making. That's why we talk about decision making skills. That is the most important skill we use in a corporation and organization. You know, you just understand of how it construct in different system. And the last one, coordination. Business, they agree that a organization is a system of independent individual groups and unit who must consider one another in making decision. It's just like control, but it's more independent, right? Interdependent. It means we all need different individual, but we collaborate each other to serve for bigger things. That's it. And what the organizational design problem is how to create organization design that a interdependent actor to better integrate and coordinate their effort in support of improving organizational develop performance. Yeah, so like a supported system. So we talk about study of centralization, knowledge flow, share understanding, which is organization is a place that we own grouping in and we collect our own ideas of things and how our role as an individual can do to serve a bigger goal. No one want to control you. We just want you to do your own things, but in a certain standard and value that benefit for all of us, basically is. It's kind of like control, but it's more fairness into us. That's why they got based on knowledge. Shared understanding basically is knowledge, right? It's a knowledge-based system. Because we collaborate. I'm not your employee just because I don't have enough knowledge like you. I have my own knowledge that benefit to you, and you have the knowledge that benefit to me, and we share, and we all benefit from it. That's it, right? You become my boss just because you know how to do things that the boss can do that benefit to me. When I think that you're not really sharing things that benefit to me anymore, I walk out to come to a different group. That is the way they approach us, which is true. With multiple way of working now, we have our own competitive system. We are open system, right? I don't I'm not working with you doesn't mean that I don't know what to do, what I'm doing. I can come to other guy who work exactly the same thing like you, but respect the coordination idea. Then the hierarchy. I don't like hierarchy. I don't want to come here to be the lowest layer in hierarchy. I come to the other community. They treat us with fairness, right? And dignity, right? You treat us as the tools of doing things for you. And I don't see any benefit of mine. I don't like that. So that is something, a different approach. We just represent the different of people thinking about organization. So people idea of individual about organization will create a different reality of organization. Remember that. Okay, so that basically a key idea we're talking about today of organization design. And as my friend expect me to do is just make it work. Yeah, whatever knowledge you teach us, man, gotta prove it, how it's work, how I can apply for this. Yeah, that's the most important, right? Application. Not everyone like theories. We need to put into action. So I talk about case study, right? Case study, Greenify, which is organization we're working on now, that benefit for some other people in the community who interested in what we're doing and what my knowledge teaching out. We begin with zero, right? There's no organization when we walk in here. When we're talking 2 years ago. There are no personnel, which is there are no general secretary, there are no head of operation, there are no head of advisory, there are no scientist, chief scientists, there are no framework, there are no structure, there nothing. There are no guideline. Nobody know what to do. Yeah, except some people like me. I know what I'm doing, right? And some other people that my friend, the coworker, know what he doing. That keep doing for the thing he believe, right? And no sample. So there are no organization like the thing we want to do. What we want to do? Non-profit, uh, social, non-profit based social fund that is a hub for a different key shareholder in society, which is expect for the sustainability development. That's what we have up here. We're in the middle, right? Middleman, I want to say, with talk with some of my team today. It's a local community, which is where we're in the local suburb side of Hanoi, in the city, in Bavi, right? This community nurture us, right? We talk about business and entrepreneurs in design, for-profit branch. We talk about the artists, the idealists, right? We talk about scientists in here, which is scholar, intellectuals, with don't have much money, but they have their intellectual value. Those people have money and resource, but seeking for profit, right? Is the government, right? Public sector, who's just making regulation and expect to the security and well structured behavior of other factor in society, right? And we talk about okay, so they try to separate it. This one is expert on this side, expert and scholar on this side. and this one is artist. So they don't merging together. But with me, I think it's we're merging together because they own the it create the concept and idealistic. But of course, I understand why we try to separate it because artists and well and the idealistic they don't have the scientific approach and the practical value like the scholar. And it's hard to understand this group, but it's a key group. They represent the aesthetic value of society. Without artists, there's no beauty, right? There's no artistic value in society. Scholar and an expert could be good at theories and create value, create structural organization, but it should dry out. We need emotion. We need beauty. We need aesthetic. Those people is in charge of that, right? And we need framework, regulation, those guys, security, those guys, government, big brother in charge of that. We need benefit, we need prosperity, these business people in charge of that. And on this four factor, come in here and help this native community develop. That's what we do. So how we do it? Yeah, that are questions of my friends asking me how we do it. Well, first I observe, right? I observe the society, observe the nature in the US, in Europe, and in Vietnam somehow, and I see, yeah, we possibly can do this non-profit organization, which is a hub that we open for the government coming in, deliver their value. We open for the for-profit sector, startup business coming here, seeking for profit and give back to the community, right? We open for the artists in aesthetic, idealistic, coming here sharing the aesthetic value that benefits to the mind of community, to the mind of the business and for-profit, to the mind of the government. The government is a group of people too. We talk about regulation and security, but you need aesthetic in your life to fulfill the human beings, right? And let people full time think about aesthetic, do it for you. How about that? And of course, scientists, leading scholar, specialists who create the reality, who benefit, who structure the new idea, the community, who deliver the value for the for profit, who deliver the idea for the government, who helping the aesthetic group of people to bring up the reality. They won't come in here. That's how we play with a four major player. Of course, we have others, right? Others is around here, right? Who is not the business person, who is not the aesthetic artist, who not the leading scholar or expert, who not working in the government, making decision. Is around here. Is a community part, right? It's a supporter for us, but is a key major supporter, and the rest is a normal supporter, right? So that is the idea. So now we come into something, right? After that, in 2 years, we have quasi structure. So we have the group of advisory who is don't have much time to do some operation work, but still helping whatever we can in our field. I'm a part of that. We talk about the board director with separate director. Some is on, some is off, depend on the value. And the way we structure that is still there, right? My friend who is general secretary doing own operation, fundraising, marketing, uh, and external development, diplomatic missions, cooperation. But at least he have the structure of how he gonna be. And in the future, if someone want to take over that position, he can transfer it to them. So that is quasi structure. We're not well structured yet, is in my viewpoint, but in my way of thinking, it's good for the system for now. Better than nothing, right? We have team, we have division, we have position. That's why we come up into position of that. So that why we don't call my friends call him the president because I don't like hierarchy. That's why I don't call president, and I don't want hierarchy working in that. We are the pan. We are the place, the open system. We don't need president. We just want the one who manage, who balance the holiness, the wholeness of the relationship with nature, with a major player. and we're serving the mission. It's an idea we want. We want sustainability development. We want to develop balanced society, economics, right, and environment. We don't want to be the top. We don't want to be the hierarchy. We don't want to be dominant on that. We don't. We want to be harmony with them, right? That's why the name position it look like that, right? Division we separate ideas, so it's easy to functioning and replicate and extend. We have different team, but we are human being. We need teams, right? And serving for the future of the what I call kind of belonging. We'll talk about that in next topic soon. The psychology of human in organization, which is important. That's why people quit. They feel isolation in their own community. We don't have the sense of belonging. Okay, we talk about vision and strategy. We have vision and strategy, and of course, it comes from idea, right? It's vision strategy is basically the way we realistically create a guideline, right? So we beginning with observation. We say, okay, the nature that everybody can do it, so we do it. Yeah. Possibility, yeah, possibility, positive. The government have the regulation for that, let's do it. We talk about the next part, evaluation. How do you know we're doing good or not? Well, we create an organization. Everybody come to us to believe in our vision and value, and they talking about us as the symbol of the sustainability development system, right? Exactly what they do now. That's why the way I'm talking about to them is just keep doing, man. Keep sending out a signal because a lot of people, each of this individual in the community, this own the passive life. They have no leading voice for them. So if we keep sending out the idea that we are a leading voice, they come to us, right? To to need people come to us so we can lead them to their own greatness. That's what we do. That's why more and more and more people coming in to my friend now at the second years of practice of this, even we don't have a well-structured system yet, because it's not legalized stand ground as an official guideline. But in our mind, in our concept, it's well structured in here. It's just not well structured out there in reality. Yes, that's why I put it something, right? And the quasi is a halfway structure. It's in here. It's not going there 100% yet, but it will. Uh, so that's why we're talking about the evaluation. And with me, with my evaluation now, the organization is good. It's well constructed. It's quasi constructed. We do have organization, and we can make it official soon. The last thing we talk about literature, right? So literature is a part that we're doing now, all right? The community educational program. We're beginning with no pillars of education. We do it with aesthetic. We do it with idealistic moment, right? We're talking about the time and moment of life, and we talk about the sustainability understanding, which is some renewable energy. We talk about the concept of sustainability, farming, and other landscape thing. But how people understand it? That's the question, right? We started attracting people, but we realize that there's a lot of expert, there's a lot of artists, there's a lot of business, and a lot of government worker, and a lot of community. They don't understand it. They don't understand the whole thing. They don't understand their limited perception about things. And sometimes they don't even understand it. They're just too busy with their own stuff, with their own worlds. They don't understand the big picture. And what we do, we got to talk about the way we perceive the big picture to them. That's the whole point of this program. I need to explain up what we do, why we do it, what the base we do it, literature, the way we do it. So that literature part is a part that I'm holding it, and some of my friends who in advisory board holding it, right? And scientists in semiconductor and physics and renew energy and do some of that part. We have a couple more on legal framework and a couple more in business. We have a couple more in sustainability development from United Nations. We'll do that part. But we want to provide the idea and how we explain it. And that is the way we attracting people and the way we build up our literature. So the literature of this organization way bigger than my own literature. It's a collective literature of all of us. That's why it's important. Okay, after the observation, I say, yeah, okay, I do it. I know some guy can do it. Fill up the part. I don't say that I know everything, but I know some guy who knows something that I don't know. Then we come in together, and then we create the knowledge-based experiment, right? The theory for organizational theory and structure, which is I've been trained about and studied about, not a big deal. We create so that part we can skip it. We just explain it to the next generation can understand it. We do feasibility study, which is asking of the as a possible advisory member, but sorry that you're not on board about the feasibility and can we do it or not. The feasibility study and do briefly that yeah, it's doable. Just do it. It look like you not really agree with that. That's why that part we not really have them uh, have to agree for everybody, but it's okay. It's a complex system. I don't expect that everybody understand everything. We talk about experiment design. How we design it. We start with some group of people in sharing idea structure. Yeah, some of them keep talking about, yeah, we're pitching our idea. No, I'm not pitching out my idea. I don't need to pitching my idea. I let it run. I share it with people. And I know that is a complex system. Throughout 1,000 people we're sharing, might be five of them understand it. The rest, yeah, it's okay. They're kind of complicated. Oh, yeah, it's nothing. I don't understand it. You're not realistic. What's the realistic? Idea is not realistic. Come on, man. That's what they feel. You violate the first assumption. You have no concept in mind. That's why you cannot see our concept, right? Well, and I don't blame them. It's why this thing is complicated. It's hard to do, but we're okay with that. We're still seeking our people, and we keep getting some people that interested in that. One of the thousands, one of the 5,000. I think even with me, one of the million is still good. It's still good, and we just keep doing what we do. And we run simulation, which is this module. Why we need a vision? We have a 40, 50 page. We run on this module. We have a table with an analytic. We have a feasibility study. That is, we run a simulation in our mind. We spend like a whole 6 months just brainstorming in our mind and run into it. And my friend bring it out and sharing with multiple people surround him and have multiple other question and concern and bring back to me. So I run that simulation again in my mind and give the answer. And after that, we think, yeah, it's time to do it. We create a prototype in the local suburb of northern Vietnam. And now we keep running and keep adjustment, right? And the result is we create a new reality of the organization. That's the other system coming in, right? The group of new people, group of new guests coming in, new organization, new business coming into the local area. They're talking with the government, they're talking with the local authority in there, talking with a neighbor in there. They start mention our organization. Because we keep doing what we do and we have outcome, we have result, we have a reality, we have a workshop, we have the artifact value, we have the big, right? We have the house which is built by our voluntary hands. We have this program which is created for nature of a sustainability development understanding, right? We have and we have upcoming event activities coming up. Yeah, we have the support from the government. We have the support from the donor, philanthropists, right? Support for the government, some from business, artists, idealists, experts come to us. But we keep doing what we do. And our module is the place that everybody feel belong to. Even they feel it's so complicated. Because if you want to understand detail of that and replicate this module to other area in the country, area in the other community, you got to understand that deep into the system of the structure. That's why no matter how reality is, how the nature change, how the human change, you still survive. But the idea is still survive. But the idea still survive. We can create our own reality to fit with that ideas. Right? We twist the idea, we twist the reality. That's the power of creation, the power of design. And that's why I keep saying, keep doing what we're doing. Sometimes motivate people, sometimes just become a place that fill up their ideas. People come to me for the ideas. I do take up action, but it not represent the whole organization action. I think I'm doing more, like as I'm doing, based on the literature, generate idea and make that work. And we're not working yet, keep adjusting, right? Keep working on it, keep design it. right? And you see that the way of practice we're doing in the last 2 years, it's all related to, right? This approach. We create the configuration, right? We're talking about that we need sustainable development. People asking, do we really need that? Yeah, in general mainstream, that's what we need to know, understand SDG 17. Why we need SDG 17? Because the whole world need that. Just don't understand it, but we need it. See the climate, see the energy, right? See the future, right? See the animals around us dying just because you consuming plastic every day, right? See what they do. See that we're not putting money on education and fairness. They're putting money on a big yard and big building, right? One of us, right? One individual have like 5,000 buildings, and other 1,000 individual have no house, right? Living, eh, have no good settlement. Remember about the goal? 1 billion people, mankind, couldn't have good place to live. Right? 3 billions of 7 billions don't have good sanitized water. Yeah, disease everywhere, wars everywhere, disagreement everywhere. And now you tell me that we don't need it, right? So what we need, making money and have a happy life among a dying world. That's what we need. That's why the way we figure approach that as a word of configuration. Well, control. I'm not really approach to the control, but I agree that appreciate the idea that we have separate skill and goal that we use it in selecting people in the position and the teams, right? And we talk about decision making. Right? We talk about organizational goal of that. We need to talk about incentives. Members attending to event have incentives. Materialistically, we did give people incentive. Idealistically, people have value experience that they never experience have in their life without before the creation of Greenify. Before us, you don't have that. After we create, we coming in, you have that incentive. You just don't know it, and you just not appreciate it. Generalization, basically the same thing. We make decision by group discussion, right? Executive, board of director, board advisory, we're talking, brainstorming idea, and they transfer it to a member and observer. That's what we do. Of course, we realize that we have error. We have errors, right? We have biases. Yeah, but we'll make sure we have the feedback and representation of each of the uh, group and partnership we have, right? And have coordination, which is the key thing we do. Cooperation, with partnership, right? We're sharing knowledge. What we're doing here is sharing knowledge. I spend a couple hours per week talking to a member or observer to share knowledge to them, have understanding. That's the way we do it. Coordination, right? You're not doing this enough. You're not understanding enough. That's what I think. You don't understand it until you really want to do it, right? I understand it enough to do it, even it's not from the reality, right? I understand the concept, basically, yes. There's nothing disagree about that. Yeah, we talk about this, but this module is not fit up everything we do. Yeah, our module is much more complicated than this, but it still have this criteria. We have more criteria. Yeah, this thing we don't need to care about that. Yeah, we have to go to module. What we do is important, right? And that is philosophy of that, the way we come into idea and make into reality. So that is basically the idea of organizational design. What we do, we create from nothing to something, and uh, and we don't realize that, but we keep doing that. We just do not understand it. How people create, right? How Elon Musk create the system launching the rocket and come back, right? Renewable material, right? How we create Tesla, right? How create that EV empire? How create other gigantic development? It always from the idea into action, right? We did talk enough about failure, but it's not the part of creation, right? It's just the nature of testing, right? It's not a part of that. We don't have to make mistake, but mistake will come, right? Which is fine. Disagreement, resistance will come. We're gonna talk about later in the external development about the chaos and order. But that is how the world is. But anyway, I'm gonna end up this course today in this system. And hopefully I have time future, and when I have time we create design this course, and we can let people understanding organization design. But I think is one of the most key skill that I have throughout my study about this organizational development and leadership is at the level of I can walk in any organization to understand it and to thrive in it, and I can walk in any context and create the organization that fit that context, that ability of mine when I have the organizational design skill. And I think it is what it is. And I hopefully can transfer it into next generation, next generational leaders and entrepreneur, and we can make it work together. Okay. Thank you.